Hey there and welcome back to NBA 2K18's My League mode. My name is Pete and today we complete the Louisville Legionnaires' very first playoff game. After finishing third in the Eastern Conference, the Legionnaires now go up against the Knicks in the first round, an opponent against whom we have unfortunately lost all 3 of our regular season games. Still, we have home court advantage and will begin the series with 2 games in Louisville, and I would say let's jump right into that. Without any further ado, here is game 1, Legionnaires versus Knicks. And from what it looks like, we have a sold-out home crowd here tonight, decked out in white here in Louisville in the KFC Yum Center. White also the color of the Legionnaires' uniforms here tonight, who will begin with their usual starting 5, Ulis and Richardson as the guards, Hood and Labissiere on the small and power forward, and Mohamed Bamba as the big man in the middle. Now, before we proceed with the opening tip, let's talk strategy here real quick. We're only going to do this once for the series, but since we are facing the Knicks at least 4 times, I think we can dive in a bit deeper. And we'll focus primarily on the matchups here, and we'll start at point guard with Frank Ntilikina versus Tyler Ulis. Now, offensively, Ntilikina can definitely score the ball, but he's far away from being the Knicks' first scoring option and works more as a playmaker for them. And I have to admit this is a bit of a relief, because Ulis is definitely not the best defender to put up against him. Ntilikina is a big point guard standing 6'5" tall, which puts 5'11" Ulis at a severe disadvantage. Now, Ntilikina is probably also the best perimeter defender on the Knicks roster, which will very likely also restrict Ulis' scoring ability. Strategy-wise, I think we'll have to play a lot of pick and roll here to catch Ntilikina at a disadvantage, and then use Ulis' speed to blow by the help defender. All in all, I think both players will be able to put up low double figures each game, but their primary duties will be orchestrating the offense, so I don't think this matchup will impact the series all that much. However, this next one very well might. We are talking Tim Hardaway Jr. versus Josh Richardson at the shooting guard. Richardson is without a doubt the Legionnaires' primary scoring option, while in this save file Hardaway is definitely a below average defender, which could allow Richardson a ton of room to operate. Now, offensively, Hardaway isn't bad, he's a good shooter and a good finisher, but Richardson is also one of our best defenders, so I think he clearly has the advantage here in this matchup, and I will try to exploit that as much as possible. Moving to the small forward, we now have a very interesting situation, because in this playthrough, Carmelo Anthony is still with the Knicks, however starting at the small forward for the Knicks is Tyreke Evans. With his athletic abilities slowly decreasing, Evans is becoming more and more of a jump shooter, even though driving to the basket is still his primary weapon. That in itself will probably not be as big of a problem for Rodney Hood, who is not only 2 inches taller than Evans but also one of our best defenders, so I'm not too worried about that aspect of the matchup. However, what I am a bit more worried about is that Carmelo Anthony comes off the bench, because Rodney Hood is in my opinion the perfect player on our roster to guard Anthony. He has the size and quickness to keep up with Carmelo, while on the other end of the court he might actually have a chance of beating him one-on-one. However, with Anthony coming off the bench, he will likely play for stretches where Hood is off the court, so we'll have to see whether or not we'll have to shift our rotation around and adjust a bit. One last thing about Evans, his secondary position is not the shooting guard but the point guard, which will give the Knicks another big body creating offense for them, and this time the focus will likely be more on scoring than on playmaking, so I don't think Ulis will be a good choice on defense. But once again, we'll have to see how often Evans actually runs the point, and we'll adjust accordingly from there. Moving down low, we now have probably the most important matchup of this series. Kristaps Porzingis is by far the Knicks' best player, he's standing 7'3" tall and he's not even playing center. He can go to work offensively both inside and outside, he is quick enough to blow by most big man defenders, and his size alone makes him a defensive presence to be reckoned with. Against most other teams, this would give the Knicks an incredible advantage, however, I think the Legionnaires actually match up as well as anyone could hope for. Not only does Mohamed Bamba have the size to match Porzingis, he is also fast enough to stay in front of him on the drive or to close out if Porzingis wants to take the open shot. Now, make no mistake about it, I still think Porzingis will score his fair share of points, but I also have high hopes that with Bamba on the floor we can at least somewhat limit his impact. On the other end of the court, it remains to be seen whether Porzingis will also pick up Bamba on defense. If not, then he will likely guard Labissiere, meaning Skal will very likely not see that many scoring opportunities. Speaking of Labissiere, his matchup against Willy Hernangomez is now the last one we'll talk about, and admittedly this one's fairly straightforward. Hernangomez is mostly a rebounder who can finish if he's close enough to the basket, but he's not an extraordinary defender, doesn't have a great post game. All in all, he is a good inside presence with no major strengths or weaknesses. If Labissiere is indeed guarded by Hernangomez, then we're looking for the mid-range jump shot a lot. Alternatively, running pick and roll or pick and fade plays with Labissiere will probably also something we can exploit. To sum it all up, we have the advantage in a few matchups here, but so do the Knicks. Josh Richardson will likely have to shoulder the load scoring-wise, while we will have to contain Porzingis, Evans and Anthony. And with that we jump into the game, the Knicks win the opening tip and set things up, and as expected the ball first goes to Porzingis. And his first drive of the game against Mohamed Bamba is successful. Porzingis puts the Knicks up by 2 with the first points of the series. In our first attack, then also no surprises as Josh Richardson gets the ball, and with Hardaway sagging off, he tries for a mid-range jump shot, but that one misses and we go the other way again. Hardaway then tries his luck from deep against Richardson, but even though the defense is caught behind the pick, Hardaway misses as well. After the rebound then, Labissière with a quick outlet pass to Richardson. The Legionnaires are running, Mohamed Bamba is the first big man in the paint. He gets the ball, gets hacked by Tyreke Evans and still makes the basket. A big play to start things off here for the Legionnaires, with Bamba now at the line looking for an extra point. And he converts on the bonus free throw, putting the Legionnaires up by 1. For the Knicks then, Tyreke Evans with his first action of the night, trying to go one-on-one against Rodney Hood, but Hood absolutely smothers him. The shot misses and once again the Legionnaires are running. The fast break unfortunately doesn't result in anything, and Richardson also misses his first attempt from deep, and so we return with the Knicks back on offense. This time it's Hernan-Gomez posting up. Labissière puts a bit too much effort into denying the pass, and that leaves the paint wide open for an easy basket. With our next play then, we immediately involve Labissière again. His pick opens up a lane for Ulis to drive, but Porzingis is there to reject the shot, and once again the Knicks have the ball. Ntilikina then with a 3-point attempt early in the shot clock, probably not the best look they could have gotten here, and so Louisville now with another chance to retake the lead. And Ulis sees a wide open Bamba underneath the basket, however once again Kristaps Porzingis to the rescue, rejecting Bamba's turnaround jumper and starting the break. And after a few switches in transition defense, we now have something that shouldn't happen on the court. Tyler Ulis defending in the post against 6'6" Tyreke Evans, and Evans goes straight to work, luckily though he misses the shot. The Legionnaires are still looking to score, and this time we're getting Rodney Hood involved. And coming off the pick, Evans recovers nicely on defense, but then Hood fakes the drive, takes a step back and gets a wide open green release. This shot a thing of beauty, and it once again gives the Legionnaires the lead. For the Knicks then, Tyreke Evans once again tries his luck going one-on-one against Rodney Hood, but also once again Hood holds his own on defense and grabs his second rebound of the game. And after his success in the last possession, we get the ball to Hood again. This time he has a bit of space from deep, but the ball unfortunately rims out. Porzingis then pushes the pace and doesn't want to get rid of the ball, and with a big man dribbling, Richardson puts the pressure on, sadly though a bit too much as he picks up the reach-in foul. For the next possession then, Richardson once again on defense, this time against Tim Hardaway Jr. And with the shot clock winding down, Hardaway drives, takes a tough contested fadeaway, and the good defense from Richardson pays off here. Labissière grabs his third rebound of the night, and the Legionnaires are once again on offense. A pretty low-scoring game so far, and a turnaround jumper from Rodney Hood also can't change anything about that. Despite the size disadvantage, Tyreke Evans stays in front of him and is able to contest the shot. The Knicks then go back to something that has worked for them on the first possession already. Kristaps Porzingis going one-on-one against Mohamed Bamba, and once again Porzingis is successful. The help defense from Labissière comes a bit too late, and Porzingis slams it home. For the fourth consecutive time then, the Legionnaires run a play for Rodney Hood, and Hood manages to drive close to the basket. He draws the help side from Ntilikina, and that leaves Tyler Ulis wide open for 3. Once again, the Knicks then go with Porzingis at the top of the key, but instead of scoring, he dishes it down low to a cutting Ntilikina, who has no problem finishing over the much smaller Tyler Ulis. Tight game, and we once again run double picks for our wings. This time though the ball goes to Richardson instead of Hood, who then takes another pick from Labissière, drives to the basket and draws the foul from Porzingis. Richardson scoreless at this point, but with him at the line I realized that we probably had to feed him a bit more, especially now that the Knicks' most important player already has his first foul. Now New York would answer with an illegal pick by Hernan-Gomez, and that would get the ball back into our hands, and once again it would end up with Rodney Hood. After a long chaotic possession, the shot clock is winding down. Hood once again has to take the step back against Evans, and luckily he hits it. Up by 4, the Legionnaires now with a bit of breathing room, and New York goes straight back to what has worked before, isolating Kristaps Porzingis against Mohamed Bamba. And once again the help side is too late, and Porzingis finishes with a big slam. The Legionnaires, though, not intimidated by that at all, and so coming off another pick, Richardson drives strong to the basket and finishes the layup despite heavy contact with Porzingis. Porzingis himself, however, would immediately demand the ball again on offense, and he went down low this time, taking Mohamed Bamba to school with a beautiful pump fake. Bamba jumps, commits the foul, and Porzingis makes the shot anyway. The bonus free throw is good as well, and with a bit more than half of the quarter already completed, I think it's time for the first timeout. A close game so far, Porzingis absolutely dominating these first few possessions, while we get most of our scoring from the wings Richardson and Hood. Both Richardson and Hood also stay on the court after the timeout, while Rajon Rondo, Bryce Johnson and Deontay Davis make their playoff debuts for the Legionnaires. And Richardson also immediately attacks the basket again, aggressively attempting to dunk over Porzingis. That misses, but Deontay Davis catches the ball, immediately goes back up and draws the second personal foul on Porzingis. A huge play here, putting the pressure on the Knicks. Porzingis now with 2 fouls after just 6.5 minutes of action, and even though Davis misses his first free throw attempt, his trip to the line nonetheless very important as it forces the Knicks to sit Porzingis down. Davis also misses his second attempt, and as we go the other way, we can see fresh into the game for the Knicks, Carmelo Anthony. For the moment, with the matchup I wanted, Rodney Hood is defending him, and even though Anthony manages to blow by Hood here on his drive to the rim, the help defense from Deontay Davis is quick enough, the layup attempt misses, and Bryce Johnson gets his first rebound. Rodney Hood then pushes the pace a bit, and we see a somewhat open Josh Richardson, who for some reason settles for the close-range jump shot over Hardaway, but he greens the release and puts the Legionnaires up by 3. Ntilikina then attempting a long-range pass underneath our basket, but sophomore Brandon McCoy unable to catch this one. The ball goes out of bounds, and the Legionnaires once again with a chance to take a 2-possession lead. And no surprise here, the ball goes to Richardson, who gets a pick on the left side and fakes the drive that way, but then actually goes baseline, and with no help inside, he hammers it down. That's 8 first quarter points for Richardson now, as Louisville goes up by 5. After a bit of passing by the Knicks, the ball then finds Hardaway on the left wing, who gets a good pick from McCoy and also drives, but Davis with a smart play here, not helping out on the pick and instead sagging off. That allows him to contest the shot and Bryce Johnson to grab the rebound. On the other end, we then try to get Johnson going in the post, where he unfortunately misses his shot but grabs the offensive rebound, which eventually allows Richardson to drive once more, but this time his shot gets blocked by Jordan Bell. In the following break then, Tim Hardaway with a mismatch on the somewhat slower Rajon Rondo, who gets easily beaten, and Hardaway sticks the mid-range jumper over Deontay Davis. Still, those were only Hardaway's first points in his 4th attempt, so at least right now he's not hurting us too much. On offense then, we once again try to exploit Hardaway's weaknesses. Johnson sets the screen for Richardson, who once again fakes the drive to the middle and then quickly blows by for 2 easy points. This now puts Richardson in double digits for this quarter. He has 10 points and we still have 3.5 minutes left. The Knicks then for the first time go with Carmelo Anthony, who tries to take Hood one-on-one and settles for the mid-range step back. The shot is off, however, and the Legionnaires are once again pushing the pace. For some reason then, Rodney Hood passes up a wide-open layup attempt, and now the Legionnaires have to try and score the hard way. Unsurprisingly, Richardson then once again isolates against Hardaway, but this time he cannot successfully bully his way through. Yes, he gets off the shot, but it sadly doesn't go in. The Knicks then try Anthony versus Hood again. This time, however, Carmelo drives to the basket, where Deontay Davis is already waiting for the rejection. The ball stays with New York though, and with the shot clock winding down, they have to get a shot off, and Brandon McCoy is the chosen one to once again get swatted by Deontay Davis. 2 big blocks here by Davis, leaving the Knicks with only 1.3 seconds to get a shot off. And from the corner, Ntilikina fires. Davis almost gets his 3rd block, but the ball instead goes long. Rodney Hood grabs rebound number 3, and once again we move the other way. A pick-and-roll attempt from Hood and Davis, however, fails miserably. Hood turns over the ball and Carmelo Anthony pushes it up the court. Melo then once again trying to score, it seems, but props to Deontay Davis for his excellent help-side defense. Anthony cannot get a shot off and instead tries to find Ntilikina for 3. And despite being relatively wide open, that shot goes missing, allowing Davis to reward himself for excellent defense with his 3rd rebound of the night. On offense, the Legionnaires have not given up on the Deontay Davis pick and roll just yet. This time he sets the pick for Richardson, which results in an easy drive and a big dunk over Tim Hardaway. The Legionnaires now up by 7, Richardson with 12 points in the quarter. Slowly but steadily, we're building a nice lead here. Hardaway would get his revenge on offense though, as the Knicks first get it to Carmelo Anthony in the post, but with Richardson sagging off, the ball immediately goes back outside and Hardaway makes the wide open 3. Josh Richardson, on the other hand, though, he accepts the challenge. In the next possession, he once again gets a pick from Johnson, and after an explosive drive, he gets fouled on the dunk attempt. The ball still somehow rolls in, and Richardson finds himself at the line with a chance for a 3-point play. The bonus free throw is good, Richardson moves up to 15 points, and with a break in the action, Rodney Hood is subbed out with a bit over 1 minute left to play in the quarter. Mitch Dennis now makes his playoff debut, and Andre Flanders is also walking up to the scorer's table. The Knicks then once again let the shot clock wind down. Anthony sends Mitch Dennis flying but doesn't take the shot. Instead, Ntilikina draws the double team on the pick and roll, and that leaves Brandon McCoy wide open to throw it down just before the buzzer sounds. We now have a bit less than 1 minute left to play, and the Legionnaires try to burn some clock of their own, once again trying to get Bryce Johnson his first points in the post. Jordan Bell, however, trying his best on defense to stay in front of Johnson, and even though the mid-range post fadeaway looks good, it barely rims out, and so the Knicks recover the ball with about 35 seconds left. A 2-for-1 opportunity if they play it quick, which they try to do here, but Hardaway's float over Richardson misses, and we take it slow for the last full possession of the quarter. With the shot clock winding down, Richardson then gets the pick from Davis, and he once again takes it strong to the basket, and even though he can't finish, Davis with another big offensive rebound, and once again it results in a foul and a trip to the free throw line. This now Davis' second offensive board, and both of those resulted in free throws for him, and let's see if he's a bit more successful than last time. And yes, indeed, his first shot is good, putting the Legionnaires up by 6, and this now finally also allows Andre Flanders to sub into the game for Josh Richardson. Richardson leaves the court with 15 points in the first quarter, a fantastic start to what could be a big game for him. Davis also makes his second free throw, and the Knicks set up for the Hail Mary. Ntilikina's attempt from half court is short though, and so we finish the quarter with a 7-point lead for the Louisville Legionnaires. Now, from this point on, we are going to speed things up a bit. I hope you enjoyed this little play-by-play action. We might do it again in the future, but I'm not going to do it for every playoff series. It takes a ton of time to edit and to get the commentary just right, but I think the Legionnaires' very first playoff game was a special occasion, and special occasions deserve special presentation. So, how did things continue in quarter number 2? Well, not necessarily in the best way possible. The Knicks quickly went on a 7-0 run to start the quarter, with this jumper from Carmelo Anthony tying the game up at 27 apiece. In the following possessions, I tried to get Mitch Dennis going, but he shot brick after brick, and so New York quickly pulled ahead and took the lead, now on an 11-0 run. Both Kristaps Porzingis and Carmelo Anthony were very important players during that stretch. They single-handedly kept New York on top, even though it was only by 1 basket. With a bit over 5 minutes left to play in the half, Ntilikina then makes a 3, and all of a sudden the Knicks are up by 4. Another 3 by Hardaway, then late in the quarter grows the lead to 6, and even though Andre Flanders was able to answer that, the Knicks would come back and score 1 more basket of their own, and so a 6-point deficit is what we take into the halftime break. Not exactly the kind of score I wanted to see in our very first playoff game, but we are well within striking distance. Josh Richardson is already having a fantastic night here with 19 points, and if we can maybe increase our effort on defense a bit, then I think this game is far from over. Josh Richardson would then also be the first guy to score points in half number 2, a beautiful layup of the spin move here, putting his point total up to 21 and cutting the lead down to 4. Just a tad bit later then, Richardson attempts a 3 from the corner. This shot heavily contested, but he greens the release, and with his gold corner specialist badge kicking in, he makes the shot. Richardson now up to 24 and the Legionnaires within 1. A stop on defense, and the ball returns to Richardson on the following possession, and once again he takes matters into his own hands, drives past Tim Hardaway and sinks the layup. Richardson definitely putting the team on his back here, but it pays off. The Legionnaires once again have the lead. We then followed things up with a big 7-0 run. Most of those points actually came from the free throw line, but the Legionnaires' aggressive play definitely results in success, and very quickly they have built themselves an 8-point lead. drive from Andre Flanders then increases the lead to double digits for the first time, and after a big 16-point swing here in the last 5 minutes, the Knicks understandably take a timeout. And with about 1 minute left to play, we have sharpshooter Mitch Dennis at the free throw line, who as usual hits both of his attempts and puts the Legionnaires up by 13. And that would also be the score heading into the final quarter break. A huge collapse by the Knicks in the second half. They were outscored 32-13 in this quarter, and no doubt a lot of that was the result of instant offense from Josh Richardson, who already had 19 points at the half and scored 7 more this quarter, and now leads the Legionnaires with 26 points after 3 quarters of action. So we head into the final quarter of the game, and to start us off, no signs of a comeback by the Knicks. Instead, Andre Flanders forces the turnover on Carmelo Anthony, and Mohamed Bamba finishes in style. His windmill here a candidate for dunk of the night so far, even though teammate Josh Richardson had a few impressive ones earlier in the game. The Legionnaires now up by 16, and slowly but steadily we were running away with it. With less than 9 minutes left to play, Richardson is then left wide open from 3, and no surprises, he hits the shot, once again puts the Legionnaires up by 15 and increases his point total to 31. Just a few seconds later, Rodney Hood hits another 3, and he was quietly having a fantastic game tonight, not necessarily as one of the Legionnaires' top scorers, but doing a little bit of everything, and he might just be the X factor in tonight's game. Now from here on out, the rest of the game is quickly told. Down by double digits and against a much improved defense, the Knicks really didn't have much of a game plan. The next few minutes went back and forth, but here and there the Legionnaires always got one more shot to fall. This long mid-range jumper by Rodney Hood a perfect example. It might not have been the most promising shot to take, but in the end it falls and puts the Legionnaires up by 18 with less than 6 minutes left to play. And from that deficit, the Knicks really had a tough time recovering. Now, to their credit, they did go on a small run, but another long 2 by Richardson quickly put an end to that. He puts the Legionnaires back up by 13, and with only 3 minutes left to play, time is not on New York's side. On defense then, Richardson with the steal, the pass eventually finds Mohamed Bamba, who drives, gets fouled and heads to the line for 2. And after making both shots, Mohamed Bamba now 1 point shy of a double-double, but more importantly, the Legionnaires now once again up by 15, and the Knicks are slowly but steadily disappearing in the rearview mirror. Another stupid turnover from the Knicks then leads to a beautiful pass from Rodney Hood to Scal Labissière, and as Hood gets assist number 9 of the night, Labissière scores the basket, and we have ourselves a 17-point lead with just a bit over 2 minutes left to play. And I don't think I have to drag this one out longer than it has to be. Mohamed Bamba would eventually get the double-double after a beautiful up and under in the post, and the 15-point lead he built with that basket would also be the difference in the end, as the Legionnaires rally in half number 2 and put up a tremendous effort to ultimately reward themselves with a victory in their very first playoff game. The final result, New York 96, Louisville 111. Now, I hope you like the slightly changed style of presentation for this game. We are going to do something similar for the rest of the series, however, of course, a bit more condensed, otherwise it might be June by the time this first round series is over. To wrap things up, of course, we need to take a look at the stats, and my player of the game tonight, that would be Josh Richardson. He shot 50% from the field on his way to 33 points tonight, and whenever he was on the court, the Legionnaires were able to score almost at will, so his performance tonight undoubtedly a key factor in the victory. Tyler Ulis, Rodney Hood and Andre Flanders then all finished with 13 points each, but I want to focus on Rodney Hood here. He was almost flirting with a triple-double tonight, and just like Richardson, he shot 50% from the field on his way to 13 points, 7 rebounds and 9 assists. Incredible versatility here on display by Hood, who for long stretches actually acted as the Legionnaires' primary playmaker. Our big man then had no trouble racking out double-doubles. Scal Labissière finished shooting 6 of 8 for 12 points and 12 rebounds, and Mohamed Bamba shot only 3 of 9 but remained perfect from the free throw line, finishing the game with 11 points and 13 rebounds. Bryce Johnson came close to a double-double with 8 points and 9 rebounds, and just like Bamba, he wasn't overly efficient from the field, but at least he made all of his free throws. Mitch Dennis then only had 4 points on the night, but he also only played 9 minutes. That was in large part due to him being completely outmatched by Carmelo Anthony. He really didn't do a good job on defense, and so for the most part we played with a 3-man rotation on the wings. Deontay Davis also only with limited minutes here tonight, but he undoubtedly made the most of them. In only 15 minutes he racked up 4 points, 7 rebounds and 3 blocks, and his defensive presence down low definitely paid off in those moments where Bamba was not on the court. Last but not least then Rajon Rondo, who was impressively quiet tonight. Only 2 assists and 2 turnovers in 18 minutes of action. He didn't really have to force the action with the way the second half went tonight, but still for Game 2 I would like to see a bit more from him. And so with that, we jump back to the overview, with Game 1 behind us. As we take home the victory, we also take a look at the rest of the league, where we see the first seed Houston Rockets beat the Clippers by 9, 109-100, the Thunder beat the Timberwolves on the road by 14, the final score here 118-104, while the Suns also win out in Oracle Arena, beating the Warriors 100-90. The surprise second seed Kings then with a victory over Utah, while out east there are no surprises with the Cavaliers, who win their first game against the Raptors in dominant fashion, the final score here 116-98. Brooklyn then wins on the road by 15 points in a low-scoring game against Chicago, and the Charlotte Hornets also take a road victory over the second seed Philadelphia 76ers. Led by 44 points from Kemba Walker, the Hornets take this one 119-106. And with that everyone, I think we have now more than stretched this episode to its limits. If you stuck with me through the end, then thank you very much for that. I have to say, I put a lot of work into this one, and I hope you liked it, and of course if you did, then please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. In the next episode we are then going to continue with this first round series, but like I said, in a somewhat faster pace, and hopefully the series does not go to 7 games, and we can see if the Legionnaires move on to round number 2 or if they are eliminated in the very next video. Until then, once again, thank you for sticking with me on this one. If you want to get notified when the next episode goes up, then feel free to subscribe. Simply click on the small trophy icon in the middle of the screen. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.